Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan and welcome to the latest edition of RCB Radio Entertainment Show, where we look back at cult classic TV sitcoms that have stood the test of time throughout the generations, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, that are deemed cult classics. So far this week, we've previewed Kojak, we previewed Who's the Boss, and this episode, we're turning to Knight Rider, which aired from 1982 to 1986 for 4 seasons. The main character, as we know, David Hasselhoff, who played the role of Michael Knight. And one of the recurring roles in the Knight Rider was played by the one and only Turkel. She joins us this evening and appeared in 3 episodes. Her first episode was Sole Survivor, season 2, episode 9, where she appeared as the character Adriana Meru. Her second episode was Goliath Returns, season 2, episode 18, where she played the character Adriana again, but this time was Adriana St. Clair. And her third episode was season 3, episode 20, where she played the character Emma Morgan. Bianca Morgan.
It's funny because the last one was like a 2-hour movie, and it was bringing back the character from the previous episode, but they changed the name.
Okay. Anna, if I can start off for you, cult classics, TV sitcoms, TV series, there's something that stands the test of time. And for you, Knight Rider, it appears maybe at the start of your career back in the 1980s. What was it like for you? Was it exciting to get to work with David Hasselhoff? This is one of David Hasselhoff's first productions as well. So was it a big deal for you and for David as well? And what are your first memories of meeting David Hasselhoff on set of Knight Rider?
No, it was. The whole thing was exciting. I had become friendly with Glenn Larson and his wife, who was the producer. And he's the one that kept bringing me back. I mean, my favorite one actually is the last one, the 2-hour, movie kind of for TV. And because David and I had a lot more to do in that. We had a hot tub scene together where I actually wore the bathing suit that I had made famous back in the 80s, the unsuit, which made history and made the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So I'm quite proud of that because everybody said, oh, that's never going to take off. I said, trust me, this is going to be huge. And I was right.
And obviously, Knight Rider, it's still shown throughout in syndicates here today all over the world. In fact, it's shown in over 91 countries all over the world there today, dubbed in so many different languages. So no doubt each month you appear in a different country all over the world in terms of your role on Knight Rider. Tell me about it. How did the opportunity come about for Turkel to get cast in Knight Rider? Was it a simple audition process?
It was during the days when, if you were big enough, as an actress or actor, you just got booked. I never had to audition for it. I mean, now big stars have to audition for movies or television shows, which is very strange. That's not strange, but I guess there's actors have like doubled or tripled in that time. But back then, no, I just got booked for movies and got booked for television shows. And, so that's the way it went then. I mean, the only thing I had to do a screen test for was my first film, which was 99 and 44, 100% Dead, which really should have opened now, not back then, because it was very kind of, it was a takeoff on a Bogart Bacall film. And it was more of a Lichtenstein, Jackson Pollock kind of, graphics with the movie. So it would have been very camp right now. They should re-release it. And that's when I met my husband-to-be, who I had a crush on over a decade earlier when my parents took me to see Camelot. So, I mean, what are the odds of that? You have a crush on somebody, decades later you meet them and you get married to the person you had the crush on. About 1 billion to 1 shot.
And in terms of your characters that you played on Knight Rider, when you saw the script for them, what did it say? Was it sexy, seductious vixen, or was it intriguing sort of mastermind? Or what sort of jumped out about you about the characteristics you had to play 3 different roles as such?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Kind of a sexy vixen, mentally technical kind of person, especially in the first episode, where I played with that young man. You know, he had that caravan filled with all sorts of technical stuff. And I also met Rebecca Holden, who I became friendly with through the years. We're still friendly. And I don't know, everybody connected to it, the crew, the stars, the guest stars, everybody it was like a family, which you don't often see.
And in terms of Knight Rider, the sort of concept that there's Kit, this sort of talking car that is invincibility, that gives Michael Knight that air of invincibility. In terms of the car itself, the first time you saw it, or in terms of that, were you sort of, was it sort of look cool? Did it sort of look 20? Did you get to sit inside in it? And in terms of the dynamics of that sort of the interaction between David Hasselhoff and the car, did it look sort of goofy when you're on set, when you're sort of seeing David Hasselhoff talking to this car as sort of such?
I tell you, I never sat in one until they started doing the, what do you call it? The, not reunions, but the autograph signing shows. It's for me, it started off in Las Vegas. They had a huge one there and everyone was there, and everyone brings their kit cars. You have no idea how many people drive from all over the country with kit cars. I mean, they put so much into it that it's unbelievable. I mean, seriously, and I got into a car then in Las Vegas, and it was amazing. In fact, I remember signing autographs, and a young couple came over with a little boy. They were of Japanese descent, and so I said, as I'm signing the kit car, the toy, I said, "Oh, where are you from?" Thinking they were from San Francisco or Los Angeles. And they said, "Oh, no, we're from Japan." I said, "When did you get here?" They said, "Oh, yesterday." I said, "But you just had a volcano and an earthquake and a giant tsunami that almost destroyed the entire island." I said, "How did you get out? And how did you get here?" "Oh, this was very important to us, so we made sure we got here." And I was like, I'll never forget that story. That's the one person that stands out, because that was really amazing to me. You know, these people are obsessed with it. And again, you have no idea how many cars there are, kit cars. And I went to one in Atlanta, Georgia. Same thing. I mean, there were like 50 kit cars there. They wanted me to come to one in, I think, Manchester, but I couldn't make it at that time. I was working. You guys should have one in Ireland.
We should, I'd say. There definitely is fanatics out there, no doubt about that.
You have no idea. You have no idea. And people, in fact, in Vegas, people had flown in from Germany, from Russia, from France, from all over the world just to go to this, you know, autograph signing weekend.
And I suppose, Anne, obviously Knight Rider had 4 seasons, and by the 4th seasons it was known as a prominent cable sort of TV show. But when you came in as, say, your first episode in season 2 for a guest sort of role in that episode, did you just see it as a normal booking, a normal TV show? Were you aware of Knight Rider at that sort of stage?
Yes, I was. In fact, I was a great fan. I used to watch it.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't think I'd be on it, but I got to watch it. You know, it wasn't until Glenn booked me, and I never thought I'd be on again. And then a 2-hour one, which seriously is my favorite because so much went on. And David played 2 parts. He played, you know, his evil brother. So there were 2 of them in that I had to play against. One was the evil brother, and one, you know, was him, very dashing and wonderful. And so, in fact, in that one, I was supposed to slap him, and he was supposed to slap me back in a scene. And I said to him, you know, you can't do it where you tap somebody. Let's just do it for real. And he said, okay. So I slapped his face. He slapped mine, and I went flying out of frame of the actual scene and jumped back into frame, you know, to try and attack him. But he really walloped me on the face.
Obviously, memories still keen today, and in terms of Knight Rider, sort of such. Obviously playing a recurring role, obviously that when you came in, you were probably there for a week in terms of sort of shooting per episode. Was that sort of enjoyable when you walk into maybe a season production and that you can spend a week? And probably throughout the 80s, probably guest roles, you're probably going from series to series to series, playing sort of different roles. What probably stood out in terms of Knight Rider that left a fond memory for you in terms of playing that recurring role that you wanted to come back again?
It was not it wasn't just a comedy. It was a very physical show, you know, and I kind of like that, you know, where there's more interaction with the characters, and you know, that was a draw to being in it.
And I suppose in terms of the working week as a sort of guest star, does it sort of differ as sort of such? Because obviously David has to be in every sort of scene from start to sort of finish. In terms of a guest star, when you're appearing on an episode for a week, are you just call in for certain days during that week, or are you very much once the table read starts on a Monday for that episode, you arrive in on that Monday and you're there until the final? No, that's a wrap.
I was there all day, every day, because I was pretty much in every scene that I remember, except for when he had a meeting with, what's the Englishman's name again? You know, who played
Edward Mulhare, is it?
Yeah, Edward Mulhare. How wonderful he was. That's really, it was great. You know, no, I've been very lucky. I've starred with a lot, you know, guest starred and also starred in movies with a lot of very big stars. The only thing was I was so young, I didn't avail of sitting and talking with these people. I mean, I did a movie with Ava Gardner. I should have been sitting there finding out everything about her. And instead, I was just so, I don't know, shy and young and meek. And I never did that. I wish I did now. And also, now that we've got phones, I could have taken pictures with everybody.
And I suppose, Anna, into current days climate, some people say that they don't like watching themselves on TV or watching themselves maybe from decades ago. If Knight Rider comes on the TV now and you flick through the guide and it shows a certain episode that you were in, would you like to sit down in front of family and loved ones and look back on roles that you played in the 80s, and not only Knight Rider, guest sort of roles, and sort of flood back the thoughts and the memories come rushing back to your head?
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm not someone who is afraid to go to Russia's, and see the film that was shot that day. I loved every aspect about it. So I enjoyed, and I still enjoy seeing it. If it was on television right now, I'd go and see it.
And I know we're going back a long time. We're going back roughly around 40 years now, as sort of such. But have you any memories or great stories from your time on set, maybe interacting with David Hasselhoff, that maybe when the cameras weren't rolling, that you would like to share with us, or a certain memory from your time, that sort of a day shooting that I'll always forget, that I'll always remember that story, however trivial it may seem, but it strikes a chord with you even to this day?
Well, David, unlike a lot of other actors, between scenes didn't just storm off and go into his trailer. He'd stand around and was very funny and very amusing. And, we would just talk and exchange stories. And no, he was wonderful. He really was. And whichever the girl was, that, because I think they had different girls because I think Catherine Hickland was on there for a while, and Rebecca Holden. I'm friendly with both, still am. And they've both, gone into other aspects of art. Rebecca is an amazing singer. And Catherine Hickland is an amazing hypnotist, oddly enough. And not that it's so odd, and has an amazing cosmetic company that I buy from.
Okay. And Anna Turkel, the last two questions for you. First of all, have you ever been to Ireland? And if so, have you any memories of the Green Isle?
Yes, I was there only once for one night. I went with my husband because there was a rugby match that was between Ireland and Wales, which is, I guess, paramount to the Army-Navy game here, or Harvard-Yale, or so. We went there. It was bleak. It was raining. The wind was blowing. They tossed the
great weather, typical
forward,
Irish weather,
and it went backward. Everybody was drunk. We went into the hotel afterwards. I was freezing, and we got into our hotel, and Richard said, I will let me call and I'll get some tea for myself and some hot chocolate for you. No one answered the phone. He said the operator must be drunk. So he went down and he called me up and he said, you're not going to believe this. Peter O'Toole is here. Now, before Richard, I had a crush on Peter O'Toole. So I threw on a turtleneck and jeans and did my hair and went running downstairs, and Peter O'Toole is laid out, spread-eagled on the floor, with his eyes yellow, his skin green. He goes, hello, how are you? And Richard was laughing so much that this was my introduction to Peter O'Toole. So that was an amusing, but I'm dying. I am dying to go to Ireland. I have some girlfriends that went and toured all over and saw, I think it's in Limerick, the statue of Richard as King Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I would love to go up the coast. I'd love to see all these little villages. It looks so gorgeous. Seriously. I'm not someone that likes to travel alone, but if I could find a girlfriend that wanted to go, I'd go in a heartbeat.
Okay. And Anna Turkel, the final question for you, going back to your Knight Rider. Now, if you had a piece of advice for your young self on the set of Knight Rider going back 40 years ago, what would you tell your young self in terms of looking back on it now?
Acting wise, I don't think any different, because I really haven't, should I say, I feel like I haven't matured that much, though the years have passed by. I'm trying to think, no, I wouldn't have done anything differently. Again, I remember the hot tub jacuzzi scene with David, or no, it was his evil twin. It was, quite passionate, and, I think maybe that was my first real screen kiss.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I had to go with it, you know, and the only thing was his evil twin had a beard and mustache and everything, and I wasn't used to that. But it was enlightening. You know, I again, I'd never had an on-screen kiss before, and that was my first one with David.
Okay. Anna Turkel, unfortunately, time has caught up with us there this evening. An absolute pleasure for having us on with us today, speaking about your memories of playing concurring roles in Knight Rider, 3 very different roles. First role, Sole Survivor, season 2, episode 9. You played the character Adriana Moreau. Then Goliath Returns, season 2, episode 18. You played Adriana St. Clair. And the final result, episode Night in Retreat, season 3, episode 20, you played Bianca Morgan. Thanks for sharing your memories. Thanks for sharing your stories of visiting Ireland with your late previous husband, Richard Harris.
I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to call you and have you take me and show me some things around Ireland.
No problem in the world, and Turkel, I look forward to do so. But for the moment, and stay safe, take care, God bless, and hopefully, please God, we get to speak to each other sometime in the near future.
I would love that. Thank you very, very much for having me on.
Cheers, and take care.
You too. Bye-bye.